Consulting, we believe in making technology available to everyone. And that's why you can count on us for your technology solutions and your team's training needs, from SharePoint to OneNote, Teams, or any of the Microsoft 365 applications. Or maybe you need a technology assessment before committing your budget. In fact, our application audit saved one customer more than $1 million in software expenses. Smarter Consulting is here to help you. We collaborate with the industry's best providers to bring our clients customized solutions that address their unique challenges. While we're based in Kansas City, also known as the heart of the Silicon Prairie, we've helped clients all over the country. Let's chat about how we can help you. Send us a note at info@smarter-consulting.com.
All right, so welcome everyone to this session about, let's see, what's new and what's cool in Microsoft Planner. Leanne, I'll let you take it away.
Perfect. I'm just sharing my screen right now. So let me get my Teams brought back up. Awesome. And actually, that's really cool that one of the people on here, Julie, is somebody I used to work with, and she works with Smarter Consulting, and I know that company very well as well. So that's cool. We're going to talk about our sponsors in just a moment. So just to kick this session off, this is going to be exactly what you just said, Jeremy. What's new and what's cool in Planner? And I'm Leeanne McManus. So a little bit before the sponsors, I know that Jeremy put a link. You might have to scroll up a little bit, but this is an awesome location or an awesome charity to be giving funds to. So I know a lot of the people that are involved with this have already committed. If you're feeling that on your heart, I would suggest that you kind of go to the link that Jeremy put in the chat in this if you want to give to that. And I think we'll bring this back up at the end again, as if you want to do that then. And then a little bit more about our sponsors. So you can see that Smarter Consulting is one of them there. Our gold sponsor is Veeam, but all of these great sponsors contribute to a lot of different conferences we've held throughout the COVID era. So I'm very thankful to have that opportunity to speak and to have these sponsors provide that opportunity. So thank you to all of them. Definitely go out and check out each of these organizations if you would. A little bit about me. So I am Leeanne McManus, and I always refer to myself as the fusion between people and technology. And I really help organizations optimize their people. What I've been doing and focusing on for 13 plus years is being a Microsoft certified trainer. I have a passion for Agile. I do a lot of Agile coaching and training as well. And I'm a change agent and work a lot with adoption and change management, and also consultant facilitator on all sorts of engagements as well. So a lot lately, and it's been interesting. COVID has brought some interesting opportunities to a lot of people, trying to help organizations not only migrate to Microsoft 365, but how do you get your audience, how do you get your whole employee, whatever size you are, engaged in adopting that technology. So doing that in a virtual environment has been interesting, but really cool. So we've done a lot of that. I have my own organization called IQ Solutions, and I have a co-ownership with a company called Power Up Learning. So Power Up is Sherry actually presented this morning. So her and I lead that organization, and we're doing a lot in adoption and change management right now. And then this is my sweet little Gracie, my little French bulldog. So she's here with me now. She's always in her little bed, and I feel like I can't do these without her. So that's a little about me. A little bit about what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about Planner and what is it for some of you that don't know, and then what's it called or what's that life cycle looking like right now for Planner. And then let's look at how we can identify some of our plans, and we can use backgrounds and some other things that make it really visual for us. Those of us that have been using Planner, you want to have something visual when you get in there. So they've kind of spiced that up a little bit. And we can spice up the look and feel and kind of curbside appeal, if you will, of what these plans look like using icons. And I use this trick with user adoption in Teams and that sort of thing a lot too. And then actually, Jeremy brought this up right before we started. He said, I'm so happy to see we've got all these colored labels now. This is a total game changer for teams that are trying to work together in Planner. So we're going to take a look at that. And one of my most favorite features is this new list view where we can multi-select and edit, but there's kind of a little gotcha with it. So we're going to take a look at that as well. So to get started, let's talk about what is Planner. So my background being Agile, I'm very, very familiar using Agile boards, what are typically been known as Kanban boards, coming from the Toyota way, right? So it's all about being able to visibly see where your work is at any given time. And this traditionally has been on a wall wherever people are co-located, and you would have columns like what we see in this slide here, just very high level of whatever the phase is that the work is in. And then you would have information identifying what it is, who's working on it, like who's pairing together, that sort of thing. And it's easy to move those. So it's like low fidelity to just say this little sticky note, I'm gonna move it from now it's in doing, or it's you know, work in progress, or wherever it's at. And now it needs to get tested, or it's under review, and I move it to that column. So the same thing applies virtually using Planner. And there are other applications out there that are not Microsoft that are very similar. Like Trello is one that I know a lot of people use, and it's very, very similar. We have the benefit of Planner being fully part of our M365 ecosystem. So that's one of the major benefits, and you don't have to pay extra for it if you're already paying for your M365. So we've got Planner. We're going to take a deep dive into that. The other way to manage our tasks is to manage our own tasks using a function called To Do. And To Do is another app offered in the M365 ecosystem. And this is completely integrated with your Outlook tasks. So if you've been using that little task area of Outlook for years and years to track your own stuff, you can do that either in Outlook, continue to do it there, or in the To Do app. The To Do app on your phone is fantastic. So the Planner app is meant for people on a team who are working together who need to maybe track a project. And the To Do is for, I need to remember to, you know, create something, or I need to forget to not take Gracie to the vet, or whatever it is. I've got my to-dos to do that. Both apps, both wonderful, both have mobile apps in the environment as well. So when we talk about getting our tasks done, here's really what we're facing now. So we've got our Planner, we've got our To-Do, and now that ecosystem, that life cycle of Planner, which used to be that green pea, has now morphed into this kind of light dulled purple color, and it says Task by Planner and To Do. So they're starting to merge those two worlds of the my tasks and our tasks together. What we're going to see on the horizon actually is going to be one more phase where it no longer says tasks by both of those apps, but it just says tasks. So watch for the task icon to come in the near future. Okay, so ways to access Planner, and I'm going to show you one of these because sometimes it's simple, but people don't know some of these things. So I like to, a lot of times in my browser, I'll just go, oh, and I'll open a new browser. I'm already in Office 365, and I'll type in task.office.com. Because I'm already authenticated in the other browser window, or the other browser tab, I should say, it usually doesn't make me authenticate, and I can go in. It may, but typically it's very quick and it knows who you are. You can also obviously navigate with your mouse, go to the waffle and select Planner, or now the new name that we just talked about. Also in Teams, we're going to look at this, how you can use it in channels, and you can actually even emphasize it more in your Teams and have a landing area inside Teams to use that as well. And then, of course, like I just talked about, there's a mobile app for all of the above. And then if you want to know where everything's at on the Planner roadmap, you can go out and you can do a search for Microsoft Roadmap, and then you'll be brought up with everything. You can choose the cloud that you're in. So I have a lot of clients in the GCC. If you're in the GCC tenant, or if you're in the commercial tenant, you just make sure you've got that cloud selected, and then you either type in Planner or select Planner from the applications, and it'll show you everything that's either been developed, in development, or where it's at in that stage. Okay, so that's great to know what else is coming. One of the specific things we're going to look at today is the background images you can use in Planner. They're pretty cool. Some of them are a little bit crazy for me, but to each their own. So your team could choose, maybe we want to change the look and feel of what we've got going on in our plans. So let's go ahead and take a look in our demo environment. So I'm actually going to use one of my real life, this is my IQ Solutions site. And so I've got a Teams environment here that we're going to come in and we're going to work inside this onboarding channel. Before we do that, I'm going to come over to Office 365. No thrills. This is literally, here's my deck I was working on today. So just like I was saying, you can come down here and you can search for Planner, which it still says Planner here, but you're going to see in a minute when we're in Teams that it doesn't. Or of course, you can come to the waffle and you can look for it here. I like to show people that if you extend all apps, then it's alphabetical and you can just start to search for it there and find it as well. Okay, so any of those ways is perfect. I'm going to close it here and show you if you come into this new tab, because I'm in Office 365 here, I'm going to type in tasks. I don't have to type the rest, it knows how to resolve it, tasks.office.com, and it's going to open up my planner environment here. Okay, so this is a real life day in the life for me in my own environment in my planner hub, and I've got some different things going on right now. What I want to focus on and show you is this recruiting. So a couple of things to highlight, just looking at these plans. So these are like when you favorite a plan, it goes into your planner hub. It's like having a dashboard for the day for yourself. And you can tell where each of these is located based on what you see here. So this recruiting one is in something called Culture Right Fit. This sales one is the general tab of the sales team. You can tell each of these, okay? So when you're in your own world, you'll be able to tell if it's directly in a team or if it's tied to a channel. So I'm going to go ahead and click recruiting. And what we've got here is we've got obviously recruiting. So we're bringing on different people and we've got different stages in how we need to process this. So when you start out with a brand new plan, what you're going to get are basically you get buckets. So these columns are buckets that you can organize however you need to. We've organized them into the process of which we need to hire people and the vetting process that happens. I have many that are about a project phase, and it goes very much like the columns that I showed in that slide. Okay, so you might have to do, what's in progress, what's under review, and done. It could be very simple like that. But here's ones that we've got under requests that are in our bench. So these are not literally in process yet. They've got to go through some things. These are ones that we're working on that are in process. These need special approval depending on something that's going on. We've got some where people have been hired, and then we've got, this is an interesting thing that we use here. We've got kind of a column that we just repurpose. The tasks are in here because we've got checklists that need to apply. So I'll show you how we do that. And then after this stage, after the hired, we use these going forward. So this is just one way to show you. At any point, we could come in and we could say, we need to add, there's been a new request for a new position that somebody has. So just to keep it super simple, we're just going to say janitor. And maybe we don't know the date yet. Maybe we do. I'm going to say, you know, this is kind of a, to be honest with you, every time I drive down the street right now, any kind of like service entry positions and any kind of restaurant right now, there's signs up. I don't know about all of you, but whatever's going on, it's crazy. All these small businesses are having a very hard time. So a janitor might be a hard position to fill, right? So who do I want to assign to? And these are some of the people that are part of this team. You can only assign a task to people who are members of your team. Maybe I don't know yet who I want to assign it to. That's okay. I can just say assign. We have the task. We sort of have a date, and that's it. That's at the minimum. You can enter a task and just put the title. If then I want to kind of escalate what's happening with this janitor task, I have more information, I can click inside it, and here are all those things that we see on the outsides of the other ones. So the assign again is going to show the people that are part of the team. So I could say Thomas, I'm gonna get him started on this. It's in the bench, but maybe we're going to move it to the in process. You know, these are all of those different columns or buckets we had going on. Is it started or not started yet, the actual status? And then does it have different prioritization? And do I know the start and end date? I don't know that yet. Look at all the pieces here. We can type notes in here and have these notes show up. So we can say tough position. Sheesh. Check, I can't type, sorry. Check with the job service. Okay, you get the idea, and that should be capital. Whatever I enter into these, each of these little sections, I get a little show on card. If I come into a checklist and I start to type something, then I could say show on card. So you can only show one of these on a card at a time, but they become very helpful as you're going through the different phases of how you're using this. There's also an add attachment where you can use a SharePoint site, a local file you can upload, or you can link. And then you can have comments where they actually stay, they're persistent with the task. So if that's all I know right now, we can click it and my janitor task is there and we can see this information. A couple of the other things though, this is one of the things I want to show you all is you can tell that the Senior VP of Operations has got these colored labels on it and they all mean very specific things. So recruiting initiated, it's a VIP position, executive team, and it'll be a headhunter position. If I come down to this one, this is Headhunter Executive Team, and it has we're requiring an industry certification. Not exactly the same, but if I say, I'm going to come up here and look at how I'm viewing everything right now. I'm looking at a board view. We've got chart view and schedule view. On the board view, if I come over here and say, I want to group by, instead of the bucket or the column, I want to group this by the label. Now I can come over and I can say, actually, I don't want to see all the labels. I only want to see the labels that are Headhunter. Now I'm focused on the only ones that I have. So when I'm working with the Headhunter, I know exactly which positions I need to work with. Okay, so that's very easy. Those labels are very helpful. I can clear this out and I can clear and go back to my bucket view. So if on janitor, I wanted to create a new label, this is the way the team is going to work it. I click inside the task and I come to label. The ones that are already named are the ones you're going to see them here, and I could select them. Or I can come in and I can find one that's not been used yet. So maybe this brown one. Now I've always find this a little bit touchy. With my mouse, it goes away. So I click it and hit backslash, and then you can kind of get where you can type it. And I'm just going to type entry level. Like we don't have a lot of requirements for this position, but that's a helpful thing to know. So maybe we want to make another one that says whether they need to have a college degree or just a high school diploma, right? So we could do that here. I'm going to do let's say diploma. Okay. Enter the name. You have to select it for it to apply to that task. So now we've got these two things that we know about it. When we click outside, you can visibly see these. So there are now, we used to have only 6 labels, 6 colors total. Now we've got 25. So you can do a varying degree of what that darkness to lightness might mean in your organization or your team and how you're using that. So that's a fantastic change. One of the other things I want to do is I want to change the name and the look and feel of what's happening with this board. Recruiting isn't super awesome. I don't love that name. So if I want to rename this, I'm going to come over here to the ellipses and go down to plan settings. And I'm going to completely rename it, and I'm going to call this onboarding test. And you'll notice that I've got different backgrounds here that I can choose. So some of these are just a little nuts. Some of them are a little wild and crazy, and some of them are kind of fun. So you can kind of choose the one that you like, that you think is going to help the organization or help the team kind of identify this is onboarding quickly compared to one that might be black, right? That's something else. The other thing I like to do, and this is a little cheat, I do this in my teams, like in my channels. I do this all over the place, actually, to help people with adoption to visualize where they're at and to kind of get used to that. So at the end or at the beginning, I can hit my Windows key and the period, and you get this little prompt, as long as you're on Windows, where you can select the type of emoji you're looking for. So I could click through the categories, or I could start to type something and see if it identifies. So I don't think there's anything called plan. It thinks plain. Okay, that's not it. Is there a task? No. There is check, so I could do checklist, right? I could do paper, and we could do something here to get an idea. It gives you different ones. So maybe I'm going to call this my onboarding, and I'm going to use that little image. I close this. Now my board looks different. My name is different, and I've got a little identifier with the icon that I can use here. Okay, so a couple of things others that I want to show you. If you're not super familiar with Planner, it has a lot of functionality besides just adding a task and moving it around. Well, actually moving it around is kind of powerful. So let me show you this. So remember, we're in board view. We can come up to group by, and we're by default always in bucket, but you can change it to any of these. So I can look at priority and say, ooh, this one's urgent. This is the one, like that morning, we're going to have a meeting. Here's how we're figuring out who's working on what. And we're going to get a status update on those. We can also come out as a manager, and I might say, let's see who's got what assigned, right? So I can kind of see, do we have an even? Okay, I got a lot to do. And Angela, how are you doing? She's got a lot to do. Doris, she's a little lighter. She's got one completed here. And then we can see Thomas is a little lighter here. So maybe these high level ones we don't want to hand off, but maybe there's something here that we can hand off to him. Maybe something in one of these. And now I'm looking at these going, maybe not. But you get the idea. So let me just show you. If I was going to say, we're going to give him, going to go from Angela and me, now it's Thomas and I. So just dragging and drops takes that assigned to and applies it based on whose column because of the view that we're looking in. So instead of having to click inside the little task and the card and you make those changes, you just drag and drop to the areas that you want. So that's a quick way to make some changes. Some of the other things that might be helpful is to just kind of see progress. So what's been completed, what's not been started, right? So these are very helpful with the filters on top of them, let you filter out different information. What I'm not able to do, let's say due date, I'm not able to say I need to change the due date for some of these. Like I want 3 of them, the due dates have actually been changed and they should be a certain date. I can click and I could come inside like Gerald's. He's going to come in his 6/21 and it should actually be 6/30. But I have to manually change that. If there were 3 other ones, I'd have to manually change those. So let's see, we're going to see if there's a different way to do that in just a minute. So remember this, that when you're looking, you have to change those elements one at a time or by dragging and dropping. Just to give you a highlight of what other views we have in here, we've got chart view, which is fantastic because you can come down and you can say, all those things we were kind of grouping by a minute ago, you can see visually here. So in onboarding checklist, I've got a lot, but those are really not tasks that people do. Those are tasks that we use. In my needs approval, I can see I've got 2 and I can see what's on the bench, right? And so the ones that are red are the ones that speak to me because they're late. So those we might need to give a special, notation to or have a conversation around. The schedule view is also really helpful, except we have so many in this view right now that I might need to shift it to a week view. In the month view, you see how you just see 3 more and you can kind of click and see. I'm going to switch it to week view and I get a better view of what's happening that week and when things are due. One of the other features here really quick, you can see that you're part of a Microsoft 365 group and you've got those integration points here, and you can export this to Excel and you can add this to your own Outlook calendar. So those are some cool features you can do right out of the gate here in Planner. Let me put this back in board view and I'm going to give you our bucket view and give you an example of how I use these. So if you have a checklist, you have some predetermined thing that needs to happen and you do it over and over, there's some ways that you can kind of use and reuse these features. So as an example, you can see here that I've got this Stephanie Greer program manager. She's been hired, but there's some things we need to do. You can also see that there's a planner. You see the little planner icon here and here. If I click inside this, it says welcome kit is in process. So it's been linked like a dependency to that task. And when we click on it, it shows us that's using the welcome email checklist for Stephanie Gear. These 4 have been checked off and these 4 are remaining, or 3 are remaining. If I click out of here and I scroll over, what it's synced to is this one. So this is synced to this. So what I did is I took and I said, copy a link in task and I pasted it in this one. So as an example, maybe the other thing that we need to do is we need to now get started with our onboarding checklist for her. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this task and I'm going to add her name to it. You don't have to do this. This is just something that I do because I find it helpful. And so now I'm going to move her task over here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say copy a link to this task. And I get that copied and I'm going to come into the one with Stephanie's information. I'm going to go add an attachment, add a link. And now it's got, I should have added a name there. I didn't do that. It's going to show on the card. And now it's linking to this one that I just did. So whoever's working with this directly will see where she's at. So let's say I've already sent out the location, we've met her. She's already there. We're in some process. This is the day of. Have I done this? Now what I need to do is I need to work with facilities and IT. I need to get her in the HRIS system. Like this is what I've got left to do related to that person. So it's just a way of kind of showing you that. So hopefully that helps somebody. I'm going to stop for a second and see if we have questions before we go into Teams. So let me scroll up here. Jeremy, did I miss any big ones?
I think there was one question around whether or not you could surface this into other calendars. I think they might be more interested if you showed the schedule tab again.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Let's do that. So the schedule tab, how do I answer that question? You can sync it with your own Outlook calendar and then you can overlay it. So if you have other plans that you would also synced with your Outlook calendar, you can overlay them on top of each other and then you could see those with your own calendar as well. So hopefully that helps answer that question. Let me see. Can a planner be shared to a shared calendar? Like, can it be shared to an individual calendar? So being shared isn't the right word. It's more synced. And this, remember, a planner board, you're part as a member of a team. So because you're a member of a team, you can use it in your Outlook. So you can't share this with somebody who's not a member of a team.
Yeah, I think their big question was around if it was possible to get it to a group calendar.
Oh, like how you can use a SharePoint calendar, like that, you mean?
Yeah, you know how SharePoint Office 365 groups have a unified calendar that could be shared for the whole group.
Yes, but it's not a planner calendar.
Right.
So it's not going to have all the functionality of unless somebody knows otherwise.
No.
That's not my understanding of that. Let's see. There's an emoji keyboard on the Mac too. Oh, good to know. I haven't used a Mac in a long while, so I didn't know that. This is even better than the chart view rather than the board view. Wait till you see the other view we're going to look at. Oh, and Sherry's here, my partner in crime. Awesome. All right. Let me navigate for a second here. So now we renamed this from recruiting, called it onboarding tasks, and gave it this little icon. Okay. So I'm going to go back into my Teams environment, and in this onboarding channel, I'm going to come in and I'm going to create and add that planner. Here is where it no longer is the green P. Now we see that task by planner and to do. So if you hover it, it says stay organized across your team. So they've started to merge it, but it's not changed kind of holistically throughout M365 yet. I don't want to create a new one. I want to pull that one in. So I'm going to come to existing plans, and it has already updated with my onboarding tasks and that little icon we put on there. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yep, I want to save this and I want to promote and spotlight this on my channel. I'm going to load it up, and everything is the same here. What's fantastic is I have my group by, I have my filter, I've got board, charts, and schedule, just like we had in Planner. But now in Teams, we have one special element. This is fantastic. I have this thing that's called a list view. So in the list view, remember when I was just talking about I needed to change somebody's due date and I wanted to change more than one, or maybe I wanted to multi-assign somebody at the same time. I'd have to drag and drop them one at a time or click inside and then change that date. What we can do now is we can come to a few of these. So the hard part here is it makes your first inclination is to click on this little checkbox here, but you'll notice when I hover it, it says it's going to mark it as complete. I'm not trying to mark it as complete. I'm trying to capture it. I'm trying to grab it. So if I click on this part and hold my control key, let's see a few other ones here. So we've got due dates here. So I'm going to say this one, we're both 6/21, and this one is 6/16. I want to change all three of those to the same date. Before we couldn't do that. In this list view now, you'll notice right here it says you have 3 selected. And if I go to the left, I could say, oh, all 3 of these I want to change the progress, or all 3 of these I want to change and I want to assign somebody else, or modify. So really quick, we can make them all important. And it just, we got a lot of important ones. The janitor is important. Our place is filthy, right? We really need somebody to get in here and clean this. They're still selected. You can tell because it's got the gray kind of background. What I actually want to do is I want to give it a due date, and I was going to make it, I'll just make them the 30th as well, and we'll say save. And now we see 6/30, 6/30, 6/30. This one is the one I manually did back in Planner. So with this multi-select, you can do anywhere that there's basically a feature in the card, you can actually multi-select and you can do that. So that's fantastic. Now, if I just want to click outside, I can just click on one and we're outside of that. You can see all of the information you need to kind of see. So these are the labels. The only thing you can't tell is what is the red label from here. But if you came to the labels, you would come and you'd be like, which are VP? I think I just selected. I was on one and selected it. I didn't mean to do that. But I could come in and I could actually group by or filter to see those is what I should have done. So I'm going to stop selecting. And now we could look by board view, list view, or whatever, and change it here and then go to the label. And now I'll come down and say, I want to see VIP. And you got it in the list view. Ah, Sherry loves it. Me too. So the gotcha that I said, and this is exactly what Sherry just posted there, you don't have a list view in Planner. I don't know why, but you don't. You have it here, and we're inside a channel, inside our team. Now there's one more thing I'm going to show you that I think is fantastic. This little ellipses on the outside navigation pane that we've got inside Teams, you can customize this a little bit. So if you click on this ellipses, depending on what your organization has allowed for you to show and have access to, you're going to see some different things here. Stream could be one if you're using shifts because you've got, you know, a workforce that uses shifts. Some different things, Poly, whatever. OneNote's very common. So OneNote I a lot of times have out here. But the one we're going to look at, of course, is the Tasks and Planner. Tasks and Planner to do one. And so it posts here and it's listed here, just like the other things. If I go to Teams and I don't come back, see, it's gone. So if I come back here and I load it one more time, we right click on it. Now we can pin it. So if it's pinned and now I navigate away, I'll wait for it to load a second. I navigate and go back to Teams, it's still here. So there's a pinning feature that you can do there on the side. I don't believe you can do more than one, but let's test and see if I'm a liar. We'll do OneNote. Let's see if I can, oh, I think they just fixed that. That wasn't available very long ago. So that's fantastic. So you can see all of your recent OneNotes as well, all your team OneNotes, fantastic. Okay, so that's awesome. Let's see how many they'll let us do. This is new. Look at, you can customize a whole bunch out here. So I have all my stream videos on my watch list. It's going to show here as well. So you know what? You come in the day and you're like, okay, what do I have to do? What am I going to, you know, I track all my meetings and everything in OneNote, and I've got some learning I need to catch up on stream. We've got them all set there. So focusing on this task type planner and to do, this is really cool because this is that convergence of, like we talked about, of using your to-do app or your to-do in your Outlook with your planner all up. So this is my really task that as an employee of this organization, I've got to do. So at the very top, you can see these are my tasks. In fact, we can minimize these. We have my tasks, which is to do, shared plans and planner, and then if I've got hidden teams. So if I expand my tasks and I say just go up to tasks, I've got add-ons, customization spoilers, plan a Cabo trip. Sherry and I are going to speak hopefully at this session, so we need to plan this Cabo trip. I need to take my dog, my sweet little Gracie, into the vet, right? So I use these little icons here. I can add another task and say, finish the Taste of Chicago and celebrate. I cannot type. Woohoo! Okay, so that's there. And that, if I go to my Outlook, it's going to show in my Outlook to-dos as well. I can also, so in the to-do planner, you can actually, you know, give it priorities or say what's on today and that sort of thing and organize it here. And then I've got, so things that are planned. So you've got things that I've marked important, and you'll notice this important one. It's kind of hanging up here for a second. I think I totally just hung up. Go back in there. It's being ornery. There we go. Let's go. We'll just kind of kick it. See if we can get back in here. So we're back on task. Those are the ones we want to see. If we go to important, come on, come along, little doggy. Oh, very good point, Aaron. So if everybody see his post, he says the personal set of tasks or to do isn't available unless your email is in Exchange Online. So if you get Exchange on premise, that's not going to be true. So another reason to encourage your organization to go online. Oh, her, not him. Thank you, Aaron. Sorry. A-R-I-N. I like it. Did I say it right, though? Did I pronounce it right? Hopefully so. So the important here, you'll notice, you can see all of mine that are marked important right now are coming from that onboarding because we just marked a bunch of those that way. If I come back in here and let's see if we can mark, I'm going to give this one a priority. I'm going to make it important as well. Okay, so my add-on customization spoilers, let's go in here. It's being super, super slow. And did it show up? Right here. So it's the holistic view of your personal and the planner task, which is great. So you can also come here and go, what's assigned to me across the board? So I got a lot to do. I got a lot, and I can see where they're coming from. So I have lots of other plans of things that I'm working on. These are some old stuff I didn't take care of. But you get the idea. Then you can come in and we can go into like this is my culture right fit. If I go to teams, that's a team. Okay. So if I come back in here again, culture right fit, if you've got a team you're working on and you have multiple channels and they've got multiple plans, depending on different projects they're working on, that sort of thing, this is super helpful. So you can come in and you can go on that team. What are all of the planner boards that they've got working on? So we've got a charity work one that we're working on, and these are tasks that we've got to do. And this is the onboarding task we were looking at. And this is just another one from that same team. So it's helpful to kind of know that if you've got, you're doing migration of Office 365 and you've got, okay, online, Exchange Online. That's one of the planner boards. You've got another one that's like, we're migrating files. So where's everybody at in SharePoint and OneDrive for Business? You could have each of those planner boards show up right there, but they're underneath one team. Very helpful, I think. I think that was the big bad news I had for Planner. Does anybody else know of anything they want to show or their favorite thing? And Aaron saying the assign to me is fantastic. I would agree with that. You definitely have to be disciplined about checking off your stuff and working. So a lot of mine are in progress or whatever. And then these I haven't actually updated, at least these 2019 ones, for a while. By the way, personally, we already did that. Demo guides have been against us. Actually, thank you for that, Aaron. Let me go back into Planner. That's a fantastic point. So let's talk about notifications really quick. Because you should, by default, I believe, unless your organization has shut it off, when you're in Planner, you can go to the little settings gear here and go to notifications. And have Planner send me a notification when someone assigns a task to me. It's probably a good time. You should be notified if you've been assigned a task. And then also, if you want to say a task assigned to me is late, due today or due in the next 7 days, then send me an email. That one makes me a little crazy because depending on what you're working on, you might have so many bombardments of these. But you can come on and you can turn either of these on or off as a caveat to be aware of. Like if you're the one leading the team and you're assigning things and they've turned these off, then you're gonna have to somehow stay on top of them because they may forget, or you just make sure that they're disciplined coming into Planner to see if they've got something due. So that's just something to be aware of there. Let's see what else we got. And you can sync a message center to a planner board to actually manage the channels in your tenant. Oh, for admin.
Yep, that's an administrative function where so a lot of times only administrators have access to the message center, but if you sync it into a planner, then you can make it available to the rest of your team and use it like a checklist to execute some upcoming change to the environment.
But an admin would have to enable that.
An admin does have to do it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's all. Not to mention all of the things, I don't have anything prepped right now, but all of the different things that we could use with Power Automate right now using Planner. So I've done this in another organization in a different team, but even if we just come in here and we type in Planner, there's so many templates already built that we can use. Oh, I typed it. Hello. There we go. All right. So we're going to type Planner and let's see all the different options we can do. I've had people who've completed a survey, and based on one of the questions how they answer, it will create a task in a certain bucket of a plan. And it will also notify me in a team for those of us that are working on that. Like there's a lot of different things you can do. So this one created a task in a planner based on an Outlook calendar event. So something you need to get ready. You can do it with a Microsoft form and post a message in Teams, basically kind of very similar to what I just explained. There's so many that integrate. A lot of these are Planner and Teams. Create a daily summary of Planner tasks by bucket. That might be helpful. If you have a lot of plans and a lot of things going on, that might be super helpful to you. I don't want it whenever, maybe if you have a certain email when they come in and it's a big alert. I used to work for, one of my clients was a big airline, and they have VIP or celebrities, and they would get notified via their phone text when that person wanted to fly somewhere. So something like this might be helpful to them to get notified. But you get, yeah, so the forms is a great interaction in there. This one's kind of interesting because I think it's already going to be merged inside that, the area we just looked at in Teams, but there's so many good ones. A lot. You could have a SharePoint list and somehow integrate that with what you need it to do, push or pull from your planner board as well. So many. I haven't looked at a lot of these new ones recently, but yeah, that's fantastic. Hey, Sherry or anybody else that's on here, is there anything else that you guys use in Planner that you think is fantastic people might want to see? Oh, yes, I agree, Erin. That's the one thing is there's not like version history of your planner board like we have in the Office products. Unless there's something on the back end that I'm not aware of, but I wish you could track or kind of revert things. And then exporting Planner to Excel. So here on the ellipses, we can say, I want to export this. And it tells you it exported. Here it is. I can go and open it. I don't know where, it's going to open on the other monitor. Let me bring this over. Oh, it still didn't come over. So here's what it looks like. Close this guy. And basically you get the plan name. Here's the meat, right? Here's the table of information. But this is good because I could build something off of who's got what assigned. Maybe I'm going to build some pivot tables or something. I could do that here. I would just quickly turn this into a table and then modify that. So that's helpful. And that keeps you like a kind of like a snapshot in time if you do it that way as well. I do too. Oh, yeah, exactly. So if you do it in Excel, then you can modify and make your own analytics. So you've got these built-in charts, but if you want to see something more substantial, you can do that. I will tell you guys, I wish I had it available and I saw it on LinkedIn and I saved it and I don't know where, like, I don't have it off the top of my head, but there is someone in the community who built a Gantt chart that you can put right on top of your planner plans. And in fact, I think you can use it on multiple and you can see a Gantt chart of all your plans over time. You might have to search for it. I can't recall his name, but and he had it out on Bitbucket where you could go and get it, or out on GitHub. Sorry. I know I'll see. So if I find it after I get done here, I'll post it in the chat for anybody. I'll post the link to go check that out. So that was fantastic. I thought, yeah, people are kind of coming up with the stuff that we all are looking for. Let's see. So Erin, your hand's up, but you're adding the questions in the chat. Let me think. What else is there? Sherry, do you have any favorite things you like to share? I know you can't chat, but you can't talk, but can you chat it? Yeah, definitely. I get nagged by Planner. I would agree with that. I will highlight this, and this is just, a lot of you probably know this, but it's part of a Microsoft 365 group when we create this. Oh, before I show you that, this is a big problem that we're finding with clients who are not as technical or they haven't been with Microsoft 365 as long. And that is, in fact, we have a client right now, and God bless them, they're trying to get their hands in and they're trying to get using this, and they're so excited to use Planner, but they're coming in and they're saying, I want to create a new plan. And when they create a new plan, they don't know what they don't know, right? They come in, they're like, yeah, it's just for me and Susie are going to have a plan together and we're going to work on this stuff. They don't realize that when they do that, it creates an entire Microsoft 365 group underneath, which includes a full SharePoint site. So that's a big thing, that if you're working with teams or groups of people who maybe you want to help them be empowered, that's something you want to give them the information about. So instead of doing a plan, like if you could shut off creating a plan from Planner would be best, and instead come into one of their teams, right? So I'm going to come into this training infrastructure team and I'm going to create a new plan here. And it's going to be brand new. Dun, dun, dun. And we're going to call it infrastructure. We'll just call it training infrastructure just for redundancy, I guess, so we can find it easy. And say save, and we start out with a brand new board, which is fantastic. And if we go into Planner, which that little world, that little globe up there takes you there, now we see training infrastructure. It's this one. If you click on this little ellipsis, you can see it's what team it's part of, onboarding. That's so much better than I'm building a plan for a team that already exists instead of building a plan for a team that doesn't exist, that doesn't need a team. So that's actually really, really helpful. So when I was trying to show you guys this connection, it's important for people to understand that. So as soon as this is made, we've got a site, we've got a shared notebook, we've got a shared plan or many plans that we might want to have. But if we just need a plan, we don't need all of this other stuff built as well. So I could come here really quick in SharePoint, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add a little link. And say I want to add my planner here. That's all I got to do. Whoop-de-woo. Now, as our team is working in the SharePoint site, they can go back to planner. I was like, no, I said planner, didn't I? Is it not working? There we go. So that's actually, hopefully that's helpful to some of you that you want to help your counterparts out to not go and create a brand new plan if you can. And then the other area we didn't talk about was my task here in planner, which is very, very similar to what we saw. I'm looking at it right now. It's by how you're grouped. If I go back to plan, I can see from across all my different engagements, all my different plans, I can see those things that are assigned to me. Very similar to what we had in Teams. Okay, let's see. So yes, we have this currently with one of our clients. Yes, we do, Sherry, like a new plan for each recruiting campaign or position. So in fact, I think Sherry and I are going to do some videos on that to kind of get out to the community to help people build awareness for that. So good. I'm going to see if did I miss anything, Jeremy? I think I've tried to catch most of these.
Yes, I think you've kept up really well.
So planner's sexy, it's fun, it's going to keep getting better because it's the new thing that we're pushing, right? Like everybody's using it. I do often make sure that I tell people this is not project. So depending on what you're trying to do versus what the capabilities are, sometimes project is better. There is some integration between using Microsoft Project and Planner. I think you can create, and Sherry, correct me, I think you can create a planner board and then you can open it in project. Is that correct or is that backwards, Sherry? One direction or the other, I always get them confused. So Aaron's saying planner versus project on the web versus task list in lists. Oh yeah, and then we have a whole other thing with SharePoint lists, right? So actually I use the SharePoint list a lot of time with my planner and like what we're doing as well. So we're keeping a bigger list of what's happening with something very specific in the list. Yeah, there are many ways to get it done. And sometimes it's just finding the right tool for the specific project or job you're trying to conquer. So yeah, that's great. Are we able to open it up for audio with them, Jeremy?
I do not believe so, or okay. I am not aware of a good method to do that.
Okay, well let me go back really quick to my deck. Let's just finish this out really quick here. And then I think we'll be close to done. So a little bit, if you want to follow up and contact me, this is my organization, IQ Solutions. My LinkedIn is tied to that, so you can find me there. Just search by my name, Leeanne McManus. And Sherry and I have Power Up Together. So we're doing a lot of we do a lot of SharePoint migration and helping organizations get user adoption in the entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So you can follow both of our Twitter there, IQ and Power Up Tips. And again, here's the donation link. I think, can you post that again, Jeremy? Because I heard there's something not correct with the QR code, but if you want to give to this awesome, it's the Chicago Public Schools Children's First Fund. So great way to make sure that those less fortunate have a little bit more to go. So if you want to give to that cause, that's fantastic. And we are always, as speakers, as trainers, as facilitators, we always are trying to hone our craft. So we love if you could give some feedback. Let us know how the conference has been, how this session was. If there's anything you loved, if there's anything you'd love to see improved, we'd love to hear that feedback. And I want to thank Jeremy for being the moderator today as well. Awesome.
Thank you.